Hello, this is my first time diving deep into such a philosophical topic on YouTube. It's currently 3:30 in the morning. I don't want to alert anyone. This is why I'm speaking like this. And I wanted to talk about the concept of God because recently I've started a spiritual search to find enlightenment or to find the right path, the light, whatever. To be guided by the light is to be guided by an idea, to perceive an idea and to understand that idea. So when you're following organized religion, I think that it's following an idea because you don't know the reality because it's just so far beyond us. And I was introduced to religion. I've been introduced to it twice. The first time it was as a child because my parents dabbled in Christianity, but they were never faithful to the religion. Especially my mother, she's had dozens of religions in her mind, and now she kind of just takes influence from wherever she pleases, which is kind of what I'm like. But yeah, I was introduced through the conventional means through parents as a young child. My mum wanted to get into religion. She dragged my father along, whether my father has a history in Catholicism. My mum has a history in Protestantism with the Latter day Saints. And the Latter day Saints would disapprove of me having a cup of coffee right now because in their religion, for whatever reason, it's banned. So, yeah, I have a history. My grandma, my great grandma and my grandma on my mum's side, my great grandma on my dad's side, they're Catholics. My grandma was raised Catholic, but later on in life converted to Judaism. My mum's side, my mum was a Latter Day Saint. So family have had a lot of religious ideas going on back and forth of religions. My mum wanted to become a Muslim at one point and learn to speak Punjabi. I was introduced through conventional means and then introduced again through self-improvement and saw religion in a completely different light because before then I was more of an enlightenment guy. I took inspiration because this is what I learned in school from enlightenment figures like John Locke, and I know a lot of them were Quakers. But then I learned about philosophy as well. I was introduced to that properly through Kant and Dicey because I studied both politics and law, and both of them are rooted in philosophy of how you should act. And that's spurred on sort of a self-improvement journey which started as a philosophy. I mean, it was going a bit before then because when I was in high school and I got into NoFap, discovered Elijah Long and Captain Sinbad. And I would never have perceived that it would have grown into me discovering Hamza and getting introduced to Islam, and that's when I began to explore Islam. And I spoke to people online just out of pure curiosity. I saw it mentioned on YouTube and decided, yeah, I'm going to see what this is about. I brought a Quran. I haven't read the whole thing yet, so I can't judge. I can't just dismiss the ideas in the book, and it'd be disrespectful to take my Shahada when knowing nothing about it. Even though I've taken it a few times in the past, I don't think that it counts because I've never truly believed in it, and I don't even know if the figure figureheads of a lot of these religions, like Jesus, Muhammad. I don't know whether they exist because I've been reading. I read from all sides, by the way. I've been reading Bronze Age Mindset by Bronze Age Pervert, and I don't know the validity of this book, especially if it's by someone who has that name, who has said several times that he glorifies hedonism. So I don't know the validity of this, but he says in his book, and I haven't finished it yet, but he says that the Jews could have borrowed from Plato with their book, because Nietzsche, and of course you could argue that Nietzsche was insane. Nietzsche, he wrote in one of his books, I don't know which one, that the Jews studied with Plato in Egypt. And I don't know how this has happened, but it's something that I want to look into, because there's also a theory of like phantom time, that 3 centuries were added into a history, so history isn't that accurate. We could have invented myths like the myth of Jesus from Greek tragedy, inspired from that, and then the myth of Muhammad. We could have invented those things, and I'm very unsure at this point, because I don't know what's true, I don't know what isn't true. It's a test of faith, and it's also a test of faith in history. And history could just be a part of the matrix that Andrew Tate talks about. I mean, what if religion is just another one of the pillars of the matrix? And I don't know. It's just organized religion. I mean, I'm not talking about religions that believe in reincarnation, and that's a whole different kettle of fish. I'm talking about the Abrahamic religions. I don't know about polytheism. I don't know if polytheism is more realistic, or whatever that's supposed to mean, because you're delving into the depths of insanity here. What other people would deem to be insane. Because you could argue that structured religions are just extreme sanity, and you're trying to bring it back to something so bizarre outside of us, and you're trying to bring it into something structured and organized. And you could argue that in some ways it does suppress our growth. It depends. And I don't know. I know that Bronze Age Pervert is pro-West. He is for the West, but I don't know if I'm even with the West. I don't know whether I'm even a Westerner with my thought. Because there are several ways to view the same concept, and I do want to keep this channel updated with my religious journey as well as my entrepreneurship journey. It's something that's coexisting with it, and may even influence my decisions, whether or not I decide to invest in the future, what I decide to invest in. Religion could have a huge part in that, for better or for worse. But one thing that I struggle with is with the sacrifices, because each religion expects you to give up something. Buddhists can't eat meat. I don't know that much about Buddhism. I don't know anything about Buddhism. I know that Bronze Age Pervert talks about how these enlightened fellas, people like the Buddha, that they wouldn't have reached this state of enlightenment if there weren't any the harshness of city life, that living in cities, it causes this. It causes these great awakenings and realizations, and you don't know that they're true, because if we're living in simpler times while we're in a country